Hello, and hey. I'm David Boles, and this is Boles.tv. Hey, it's Boles.television, coming to you live and in concert from the East Coast of these United States. Wearing my Columbia shirt today. It's looking good. I have a lighter blue Columbia shirt that I wear, and then everything just goes kablonky because the camera doesn't like a light-colored shirt. For some reason, it has automatic everything, and it doesn't like a light-colored shirt. So I'm either usually wearing dark red, dark blue, or black. So a lot of interesting things happening in the news today. And we're going to start with something that's a little risky, I'll admit it. I'm going to try to share with you my latest knife in my latest knife acquisition. Now, if you are a fan of this live television show over the years, you will know I have several times shared with you my favorite knives. And one of the times I shared my most favorite knife, terrible things happened, which I'll show you right now because it is the default video. It is the default video on the webpage for this very live show. So I have to turn this up so you can hear a little bit. It's very short, but also extremely stupid.
This is my all-time favorite knife. This is my Benchmade Valet, which is a gold knife, meaning as in gold label. And you're trying to think of the term gold label and you're opening your knife and you cut your finger. This rarely happens to me. I try to be so much more cautious. But this is my gold valet. It now has my blood.
Okay, so that's my knife. I'll show it to you again, very carefully, or so he said. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I shared with you that we have a whole new knife set that's very nice, very interesting. And when you wash this knife set in the dishwasher, you get rust spots on all the blades. And in the knife group, someone had the same problem. They said, you don't put knives in the dishwasher, you wash them by hand. For 20 years, we put our knives in a dishwasher and they've never had rust spots, which is sort of what the other person said. It was not me. And other people said, well, it really depends on the composition of what kind of steel and metal is in your knife, if it's going to rust or not. And the person said, how do I get rid of the rust marks? Don't wash it in the dishwasher. But this is still my I am baiting my camera to not properly work. I admit that. But I have this thing right here. I just can't show it to you. There it is. Now you can see in this shot why. Now my face is just naturally red because I went to the dermatologist a couple of days ago, got my blue light treatment for my skin cancer so it doesn't come back. And you sort of get a little sunburn on your face. So you can see my face is sort of, has color to it. And my hands are my natural color, which is green. And that's why it's really important if you're ever on television, and you see this happen a lot on professional big network television shows, where people show up and they put their base makeup on, their pancake makeup, if you will. And so they don't have, lines. What they do now is they blend their pancake makeup into their hairline. It looks terrible. But I guess they're concerned about not having it match. And then their talking head, and it looks okay, good, right? And then their neck is a different color because they don't put makeup on their neck. You need to. And then they raise their hand to talk. And their hands are a different color than their face. So if you ever are on stage in television doing an interview and you're using makeup, do your face, your neck, and your hands. Especially your hands. Because most people have a different color on their face and their neck because of sun. If you're in the sun, your face, your chin usually protects your neck from darkening. But your hands should match your face because your hands, if you're out in the sun, should be the same sort of tone, at least, that is the color of your face. So I'm showing you this cut that took a long time to heal from our new knife set that rusts. And it was just like the corner of the chopper. And I was just putting it in, on the corner, I didn't think the corner would be sharp, and I wasn't trying to hit myself anyway, putting it into the butcher block thing of the knife holder thing. And it bled a lot. Very clean cut, which is something I learned from my emergency EMT friends is, knives are really super sharp, and a dull knife doesn't cut you the same way that a sharp knife will cut you. But a sharp knife is easier to fix because it's a very clean, very professional cut, whereas a dull knife can kind of be a jagged cut and be harder to make heal. So I put, medication, Band-Aid on this, finger Band-Aid. Yeah. And it's better now, but still very red, but not too red today, and it's not going in focus. But the thing is, it's right, like if you use sign language and you're like making coffee or straightening out, I tend to hit it a lot. And in the early days, I would hit it with this hand, not on purpose, and it would bleed. So then I would cover it with my Band-Aid without any kind of medication. But now it still hurts, and I still hit it every day with this hand. But at least it's not bleeding or opening up again. And then it kind of was healing funny. It kind of had strange, like dead skin around it. So I took my handy file, my nail file, and I filed it off. And now it's perfect. But it still hurts. So talking about knife safety, and knives are interesting. I'll share this with you again. And we've discussed this before about being street smart, especially in a big city. And the rule with knives, like if you're out and someone's robbing you, the rule with a knife is if someone draws a knife on you, you run away. If they want your keys to your car, you take your keys, you throw them behind your attacker, behind their head, so they have to turn around and get the keys, and then you turn around and run the other way. You do not fight a knife. You will not win. And all it takes is one hit. And usually people who use knives to stick up people and to hurt other people know how to use a knife. And when you hold a knife, I have a lot of knives here. I'm just trying to see if I have a big one. Where are the big knives? Meow. I have a comb here. I'll show you my comb. So if you were holding a knife, you don't hold a knife like this. I'll show you on my other knife. Like this. You hold a knife by its handle like this. So if this is the blade, and this is the handle, right? And someone's trying to hurt you, they're going to hurt you. And how do you get a knife out of someone's hand? I'll show you. If you cannot escape, if they have you backed into a corner, up against a wall, and they're starting to stab you, The only thing you can really do to guarantee you will not be hurt, mortally, you will be hurt doing this, is to grab the blade of the knife. And then you grab it, and there's no blade, there's no point. The person's going to move it around, and you're going to have to move around with it and find so it doesn't cut your fingers off. So you can knock it down, get it out of the way, push the person back for a second, and run. Now, if it cuts off 4 fingers, okay. You can have them put back on. But if they stab you in the heart, or in the kidney, or in the liver, you're done. They will not, EMS, ambulance, fire, police, be able to get to you fast enough to save your life if they hit you in the right place. Now, just the opposite is true of a gun. If someone pulls a gun on you, take your keys, again, throw them over their head. They go that way to get your key, you go that. Or if it's your wallet, throw your wallet over their head. So they have to turn around and go get it, and then you go run the opposite way. But if you have a gun pointed at you, and it's, within your range of like a knife, because a knife is, they're going to kill you up close. A gun can kill you from far away, which is why you don't run from a gun. Because you run away, and they're going to shoot you. So if someone has a gun on you, and they're not turning around to go pick up your keys, the advice is you charge a gun. You go for the gun. They're right here with you. You grab the gun, and you try to get it away from you so it's not pointing at you, and you fight over the gun. You cannot fight over a knife unless you absolutely know you have no other choice. Now, of course, cooperate, give them whatever they want. They really mostly don't have any intention or want to hurt you, so don't give them a reason. But if they're off, if they're anxious, if they're aggressive to you, you're going to have to make some decisions on how to get out of it. As my safety training for the day for you. Okay, so this is the infamous knife from the webpage. This is my Gold Valet, and I have a better camera now so you can see it much, much better. It's an absolutely beautiful knife, and I'll show it to you. So this knife you pull open. It's a pull opener knife, right? And you hear it click, which means it's locking. Okay, very soft click. So now it's locked. Okay. You see it has a raindrop pattern, which is really very beautiful. Trying to get it right up there to you. Can't focus that far. It's too close. And it's really a wonderful, bench-made, glorious knife. Best one in my collection. Very sharp. Now, I'm not going to close this yet because I'm going to show you something about closing a knife. Now I'm going to show you the latest knife in my collection. I can't remember what it's called. I'll show you the website, but it's called a mini Maxell. It's a frame lock gun knife, a frame lock knife. I don't really like frame locks, and I'll show you why. But this knife is a special knife because I guess there was some kind of competition to see, if you were to become an astronaut and you were in space and you needed to have a knife with you to do various tasks, whatever an astronaut would do, what kind of knife would be the best to give you the most action and promotion while using the knife? It's an interesting theory. So this is the knife by CRKT. Minimaxil X frame lock. Not as fancy as my Valet, okay? But it clips on, very tiny. This is how they compare. One's big, one's not. And now I'll open it. Now this one, remember this one? When you open it, you go like this, clicks into space. And then you close it by pulling this, which is the lock, which I like a lot. And then you just carefully close it. Okay, right? Yeah. So this is this one. My eyes are going crazy because it's our NVIDIA video thing where it always makes me look at the camera even when I'm not looking at the camera. We're helping video test it, so that's why it looks so weird, why the camera's freaking out. Okay, so this one you don't pull open. This one has a little thing here that you sort of pull down on very carefully, and the blade comes out. Now it's not locked, so it can go either, you can close or you can open it. I'm going to open it all the way and see if it clicks. Okay, so it sort of clicked. And this is now the space knife, I guess is what they call it. And here's what I like about it. I like that it has a very sharp edge here. It looks like a razor blade, right? Like a box opener, sort of. It has a blade, a razor here, and then a razor blade here. So you can cut this way. And you can also go like, it's not stabbing. It doesn't have a point to stab people. But it does have the ability to cut this way. So if you're like cutting something this way, you can't cut this way, right? Because you're in space. So you need one tool that does a lot of things. So you can cut not this way. You can cut this way or punch into it and cut that way. Now, here's what I don't really like, because it's called a frame lock. Frame lock is for locking the blade in place, right? As you can see, this is the frame, and this is, you know, the beginning of the blade, and this is the blade. Okay? Very clear, right? Yes. Now, to close the blade, because right now it's locked, you have to push over this part of the frame. I'll see if I can do it with you. You have to kind of pull it back. Okay, pull it back. And then once it's back, you see, this is now all flush. Then you can safely close the knife. Okay. Love the size. Relatively cheap. It's about 1/10 of the cost of this knife. Okay. But this knife opens fast, has a easy way to unlock it. This one you have to have a frame lock. So if you're not careful when you're pushing it over and you're trying to close the knife, you can close the knife right on your thumb. Not on this thumb, but on this thumb. So here's the website. For the, they call it the space knife, the Minimaxil frame lock. It's very nice, CRKT, okay, very nice. Got it fast, brand new, $60, and I think if you sign up, they'll send you a code for 10% off, which is nothing to bite about. So here's the blurb about it, and I'm just sharing this with you. They're not paying me. They're not an advertiser. I'm just sharing interesting things with you. There's no vested interest in me sharing with you this. Either way, to share, not to share, it's all part of my knife collection. Designed by Daniel Caston of D-Rocket Design, the Minimaxil X is an evolution of a knife originally made for SpaceX to commemorate a rocket launch. Daniel's work caught the eye of someone in the company who commissioned him to make a custom series of knives for the crew. The Minimaxil X is all about fitting as much strength and durability into as small a package as possible. For a capable everyday carry, you can take anywhere, even to outer space. Oh, and the Cat Heads in Space podcast is now back on a limited basis. You can find out more by going to humanmeme.com. I'll share all these links with you on our Discord server in our live links update. Superior performance for this knife? A 12C27 blade steel for excellent edge retention. Smooth operating. IKBS ball bearing pivot. Deploys the blade smooth. Ultimate durability. Stainless steel handle withstands hard use. Brute strength. Frame lock utilizes a thick lock bar to secure the blade. Low profile. Pocket clip provides secure carry. All of the specs, the measurements, you can see just how tiny it is and how cute it is. See, this is the frame lock. Do you see that? How the one side of the frame is over and blocking the blade from going back into the frame? That's what a frame lock is. So you have to have a little bit of thumb strength to push it over with one thumb, and then the other hand is slowly, gently trying to close the blade so you don't cut your finger. I'm not a fan of frame locks. This is the designer, good guy, electrical engineer, he has a bio, highly recommended, cute knife, lovely knife. I think it's just terrific. And now we're going to take a very brief break, returning in a moment. Hey, we're back from break. I'm David Boles, and this is Boles TV. It's BOLES.television. It's BOLES.tv. And it's a delight to have you here with us. We had a big lesson in sort of self-defense and a knife collection. And as you know, we're big fans of AI. Do a lot of work with AI voice, AI art images, AI research, helps us write our articles. It's just amazing how the resources have changed. It used to be when you were in school and you were my age, if you wanted to know anything of importance, you would go to the library. And you had to physically go there. You had to use the Dewey Decimal System and look up a book, or if you were lucky, a magazine or a journal, and you would check it out, read it, make a photocopy. And then it kind of changed, 25 years later with the rise of Google, where you didn't have to get out of your chair and go to the Dewey Decimal System. You could just stay at home in your PJs, fire up your computer, go to Google, and do a search and, get some interesting results back that would help you learn something. Or if you're doing research, you could access journal databases and get information that way. So the library changed from index cards and books on shelves to computer stations. It's a little sad. There used to have to be an effort on your side that if you wanted to learn something, you really had to go out and do it. Now you can just kind of, set up web alerts and have these information pushed to you to keep you up to date. And now with AI, you really don't even need to do the research yourself. You can just say, I'm interested in learning, how the world has changed since we got rid of the Dewey Decimal System. Can you help me? And your AI bot will, write a whole paper for you on the rise of technology and the benefits of AI. And it gets even more interesting when you think about video AI and voice AI. Right now, we're sort of in the dawning of the horizon of voice AI, where you can clone your voice or clone the voice of someone else and have them read something, even dead people. I've done it myself. We've talked about it here before. But with video, it's going to be very interesting. I read something the other day that these porn sites are taking, established porn actresses and then taking the face only of a famous superstar, celebrity woman, and putting that face on the body of the female porn star. And I guess, I haven't seen it, I'm not interested in seeing it, but I guess if you look at it, it looks like the celebrity is doing the dirty. Which I guess for some is interesting. It's bad for the celebrity, because then how does the celebrity explain, well, they stole my face and put it on someone else's body? And then fake news, which is what you'd say, becomes real. And people who believe in fake news say, well, see, I told you. We've heard about fake news and now the celebrity's not really there. It's all fake. Everything you see on TV is fake, right? That's going to be the defense. Well, it wasn't my voice. My voice was cloned. It wasn't me in that sex scene on the internet. My entire body was cloned. So what's real? What's imagined? How will we know the difference between something that is real and something that is imagined? I don't know if we're going to know the difference. It's very scary. So, maybe we'll go back to old school. Instead of, researching things on the internet, you're going to go back to the card catalog. We're not going to have Zoom meetings anymore. We're going to have in-person get-togethers where we can shake each other's hand and look each other in the eye and say, are you real or are you AI? And, for a few years, that would work. And then you're going to get into the robots. The robots are coming for us. And how soon are people going to start cloning their robots so their robots look like them and then ultimately become them and then ultimately live beyond the human body and into the future as a sentient being with the personality, spirit of the person that cloned them. And these clones will probably be self-sustaining through sun or wind or nuclear. They won't need to eat. They'll just be surviving. And then soon they're going to realize, why do I even need this pathetic body? I can just, plug myself into the neural network and live forever throughout the universe. But we're not there yet. Here's where we are today. The things that Camilla, the meta-human concierge, who will work for the public administration. These are the things she can do. So if you need help from your government, you're going to deal with someone like this. Now, there's nothing worse in the world than having to deal with a chat bot, or when you make a phone call and you're trying to talk to a real person and you can't get a hold of the real person because you're stuck in, voicemail heck. Well, this is going to make it even worse. Camilla is a candidate to be one of the first meta-human concierge of the Italian public administration. At the moment, I think we should say she, is a prototype, but it has already been made her public debut, at the Artificial or Augmented Intelligence Conference towards a new relationship between man and machine, organized by CSI. So one of the first concrete applications of this Camilla AI bot could be right at the reception of the CSI headquarters or provide information to visitors. We have aroused the interest of many of our consortium members who have requested to use it in their facilities. So imagine going into a meeting and there's someone behind the front desk and it's this thing. Hi, do you think you could help me? And you're going to be having a conversation, joking around, flirting with some kind of AI screen. It's a little scary. But it's coming for us. Now I'm going to adjust my face here because I don't like how this looks either. I'm going to make this meow and make this moo and then pull it down. Oh, it looks a little bit better. Maybe. Who could say? So that's the bot. Now on another subject, this is very interesting as well. From the Los Angeles Times, talking about real life people, the unmasking of the narcissist. The narcissistic conspiracy spreading baby boomer rock star. And there's Eric Clapton. Now, Eric Clapton, Van Morrison, I think that's Roger Waters. Eric and Van didn't do well during COVID. They, were haters of the lockdown. They want to go out and tour, make monies, provide for their families. And it didn't go very well. They became everything we don't want them to be. Over 2 nights in late September, Eric Clapton used his music industry connections and his decades of classic rock hits to draw thousands of fans to Crypto.com arena in downtown Los Angeles. Yet the Crossroads Festival came just days after Eric Clapton's appearance at a smaller, different benefit in seeming conflict with the progressive ideals of many baby boomers. On September 8, Clapton, 78 years old, headlighted a fundraiser for Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the now independent presidential candidate known for spouting anti-vaccine conspiracy theories. Among other things, he suggested that vaccines cause autism and that the COVID-19 virus was designed not to infect Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese people. And for his coziness with the conservative political figures such as Elon Musk, Jordan Peterson, and Governor Ron DeSantis, it was all held at a private event in Brentwood, raised $2.2 million, according to Kennedy's campaign. I am deeply grateful to Eric Clapton for bringing his musical artistry and rebellious spirit to my gathering in Los Angeles, Kennedy said. Now, here's the problem. These superstars who made their money in the radicalized 1960s, 68, 69, 70, people were fighting against the government, fighting against conservatism, fighting for their own way in the world, and their music reflected those fights, have now, in their old age, because of their previous success and their ongoing narcissism, have become proponents of right-wing fascism. And it's not a very good thing, kind of a bad thing. Look, many people get more conservative as they get older, said Doug Brinkley, prolific author and Rice University history professor. And millions have fallen prey to conspiracy theories and misinformation. Just because you wrote Astro Weeks, he added of Morrison's classic 1968 LP, that doesn't mean you're immune from bad science. Though Clapton has been inspiring outrage since at least 1976, when he Went on a notorious anti-immigrant rant. And this is a difficult thing. How do you support the man from the mission? Can you subtract the talent from the personality? People say the same thing about Woody Allen. Genius guy, great director, but as a person and a father, meh. Can you separate the Clapton prejudices from the Clapton talent? I'm learning the older I get, it's harder for me to do. I used to be a big fan of Eric Clapton, and in 1976, I was very young. I didn't know he said all these terrible things until they started coming out in the newspaper. At least 1976, when he went on a notorious anti-immigrant tirade on stage in Birmingham, England. You can listen to it online. The pandemic appears to have been a radicalizing event for him and Van Morrison. The latter is framed as response to COVID and various corresponding public health measures as a matter of personal liberty. Of freedoms trampled on by Imperial College scientists making up crooked facts, as he sang in 2020's oddly jaunty No More Lockdown. So Jan Wenner, all of these 60s radicals have now become conservative and cranky and mean. And the Los Angeles Times, in this beautiful essay, calls them out on it. A former major label president offered a variation on the view that they're not shaping policy, they're just playing their music, saying these graying icons have not been doing substantial damage to their touring business because their fans still like them. But these days, they're just peddling nostalgia, along with the crazy stuff. And I guess that's what it boils down to. Do you just want to go and, relive your life when you were a teenager and happy in 1968, 1970? Or do you want to realize that circumstances have changed, people age, and sometimes they don't age well until their 80s? And speaking of change, New York Times had a very interesting article called Can Humanities Survive the Budget Cuts? After years of hand-wringing about their future, liberal arts departments now face the chopping block. At risk, French, German, and American studies and women's studies. Stop the cuts. Now, I am a student of the School of the Arts at Columbia University in the city of New York. So, even though they tend to get lumped together, arts and the humanities, they are separate things. The arts are not the humanities, and the humanities are not the arts. What's the difference? Well, as my mentor at Columbia University said, Howard Stein, the enemy of the arts is the humanities. So, just because the humanities are in jeopardy doesn't necessarily mean the arts are. Theater, dance, performance, singing, music, they're separate things. Do you need the humanities? Well, this is the question that some universities are asking. The state auditor of Mississippi recently released an 8-page report suggesting the state should invest more in college degree programs that could improve the value they want to provide to both taxpayer and graduates. Now, the great Howard Stein also said another thing. He said the enemy of the arts is the humanities, and he also said these universities that used to be universal are all now being run by the business school. These major, let's say, Ivy League schools are being run by the business school. The entire university kowtows to the business school. Why? Used to be the English department, used to be the law school. Now it's the business school. And the reason they run it is because that's where the money is. That's where the students want to study. That's what the students will pay for. The students will pay a lot of big money to study business. And when you have a lot of students that bring in a lot of tuition, you have power and you can direct the focus and the intention of the entire university. And at these big schools, you go to the business school and they're new buildings, all the hot new tech. It's all very beautiful. So now it becomes a question of what do we value in our life? Do we just merely value money? What about the arts? What about the humanities? English? Foreign literature? Does that matter in a university anymore? Or is it just going to all shut down and become a business school where everyone's out to make a lot of money? That's what's going on in this question. And it's a fascinating topic. It's a wonderful article. And I will share it with you on our Discord server. Shad White, the state auditor of Mississippi, wanted to earn a living playing the guitar. He majored in political science instead. So this is the history of where we're going in America. And it used to be that, people who were in law school, which is an advanced degree, graduate degree, JD degree, the highest number of undergraduate applicants for law school were English majors, right? Not pre-law, not pre-med, not the business kids, English majors, which was absolutely delightful because it meant you had a love of English, a love of writing, a love of literature. You knew the history of where we were, what's happened, how things have become what they are. And now that's changed. Now most people who apply to law school are business majors. And it's going to be a problem. It's a problem that's been brewing for the last 20, 30 years. And it's coming for us now. I will share this article with you. Now, finally today, fascinating how COVID coronary plaque infection confirms cardiovascular risk. I will send you this article on our Discord server. But here's the idea of it. New evidence shows for the first time that the virus that causes COVID directly infects atherosclerotic plaques in the coronary arteries, producing a persistent inflammatory response. Now, I've heard from other scientists that if you have long COVID, which this is a part of, that the way that you sort of get rid of a lot of these symptoms from long COVID is by getting the new updated booster. And that booster somehow goes in there and does something and releases you from these long COVID syndromes. Our study shows there is a persistence of viral debris in the artery, says senior investigator Chiara Gianelli, MD, Associate Professor of Medicine and Pathology at New York University's Grossman School of Medicine. There is an important inflammatory response. We can now look at ways to control the inflammation. Gianelli says the COVID is more than just a respiratory virus, that it can affect the whole body. Our study shows a remarkable ability of the virus to hijack the immune system. Our findings may explain how that happens. So look out. Things are changing. People who have had long COVID and brain fog and they don't know how to recover, and there are people who get infected like 4 or 5 times once a month who just keep getting COVID. So long COVID is not just something that you get and it stays with you forever, although it can be. Long COVID can also be infection upon reinfection upon reinfection. and your body just can't ever recover from what it needs to do to feel better. So studies like this confirming that COVID hangs around your heart is terrifying, but also good that they're figuring it out to figure out a way to help people feel better soon. We had a wonderful time together today. I appreciate you so much. I thank you for being here. You have any questions or concerns, you know where to find me. Until next time, I'm David Boles, and this is Boles.tv. Oh, it's Boles.television. Take care. See you next time. Bye.